For today's cup of coffee, we have a submission by Mrs. Y, and that is our beloved Yates' wife. Yates writes, I have mentioned previously about our flying group at the Carpetbaggers airstrip. A farmer bought the land and remnants of operations buildings, and with his partner began making plans to build a museum dedicated to the airmen who served at Harrington. I got to know the farmer quite well over the years due to our nearby flying, and also we rented a spot next to the base hospital for meetings, barbecues, and such. Bernard Tebbett was the farmer and creator of the small aviation museum that got up and running about the early 90s. He passed away a few years ago. Next to our rented site was a narrow lane that led to the main part of the airfield, airman quarters, etc., back in 1944. We had finished our flying for the day and were busy cooking on the barbecue. There were about 12 of us in the group. 2 of the girls had gone to the toilets at the museum. 5 or so minutes later, Mrs. Y went to meet them in the lane. It was a short lane, once a service road for the base, about 100 yards long. When we got home, she told me this encounter. She was walking down the lane when a man came running toward her. He wore a vest and white shorts that reached his knees. She smiled and said hello, but the runner was oblivious to her presence. She noticed that although she could hear her footsteps on the loose gravel, the runner made no sound. A bit uneasy, she returned about 20 yards back to where the group was and the barbecue. The 2 girls arrived about 2 minutes later, and Ms. Y asked if the running man had passed them, but they said there was no one in the lane at the time. I mentioned this encounter to Bernard a week or so later, and he said, "Oh, that would have been the ghost of the captain. He's seen a lot round here." Here's an extract from the Aviation Museum website written by Bernard. He was telling the story of how he and his partner decided to turn some operations buildings into a museum. Quote, I'm going round the brick building, which had no windows in it and large fans and 2 large boilers to the rear. My partner and I got separated when I suddenly heard him shouting. I found him coming out of one of the doors of the main building. He said, "There are ghosts in there and I'm having nothing to do with this site." I went in but could see nothing except I could hear noises sounding like footsteps. I came out and told him that I thought there was water dripping, but he was adamant that he would have nothing to do with it. End quote. His partner never returned to the site after that. Now I'm going to leave a link to the museum website in the comments section, and then later on I will, barring unforeseen, put that in as a pinned comment. And I had a question for Yates, which was, what was the reaction of Mrs. Y after finding out she had seen a specter? And he stated, she was a bit shaken, but did not tell me of the encounter until we were on our way home. After the UFO sighting, where we told the group about it, and their comments about the pub, she didn't relate it to them. Their loss. She knew it was a ghost and was relieved that Bernard confirmed that it was the ghost captain. Thank you, Ms. Y. I appreciate you. I appreciate beloved Yates very much. And how sad it is when you've got people that you care about and you want to share these things with, and that you have a supernatural paranormal experience, and because of their reaction, you don't have anybody else to share it with. And that's a very frustrating, feels very isolating a lot of times. But now you have some place to share those things. And I appreciate you so much, Yates, Mrs. Y, anybody who is relating these things. If you've got paranormal, supernatural, UFO, even if it's a matter of what you experienced as you were in an altered state of reality, if that does or does not include substances, send those to me. I want to hear those. These things fascinate me. And when I respond to an email and I'm like, wow, this really, yes, that is how I react when I'm reading the emails. These things just thrill me. And I love sharing other people's experiences. Some of them are similar to mine, other people's. Just some really cool stuff here. So send those encounters to me at cupofcoffeewithscream@gmail.com. And you'll have a beautiful, blessed day. Bye.